Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So I'm starting a new series called The 3 You Need. The premise behind it is oftentimes we get questions of what are some of our favorite bourbons, and I wanted to identify 3 bourbons from each distillery that I think offer up a different purpose for what it is that you're looking for to do with that particular bourbon. So today we're gonna start with Four Roses. We're gonna get into that right now, so stick around. All right, so right out of the gate, we're gonna bypass the regular kind of yellow label Four Roses and go right to the Four Roses small batch. I think this is a nice entry point because of the softness or softer profile that Four Roses has to offer. And at 90 proof, right around that $30, give or take a few dollars one way or the other, what it is that their small batch has to offer is fantastic. It is probably overall one of my favorite brands and bourbons to just sit down and sip on. With the combination of their mash bills that they introduce in a lot of their bourbons, this is a great representation of Four Roses as a whole. It's a fantastic entry point for anyone looking to get into bourbon. It's not only just a great little sipping bourbon, but would also work extremely well in cocktails. Again, the proof point on this makes this, for me, the #1 entry point for getting into what it is that Four Roses has to offer. All right, so let's step it up a little bit here. So now we're getting into a profile that's gonna start to fit that medium to maybe more advanced kind of palate, or someone who's a little more accustomed to what it is that Four Roses has to offer. And when you start getting into just their regular single barrel, again, at 100 proof, about $40, $45, maybe give or take one way or the other. This for me is maybe one of the best representations of what it is that Four Roses does. Again, these are single barrels, so they're gonna vary slightly. However, they're using the same mash bills. And on a lot of these, they will give you in each one of these a little kind of neck tag that will give you more information as to what it is that that single barrel specifically represents. So they will kind of vary from single barrel to single barrel, but from my experience, they really have been pretty tried and true for the most part. So again, if you're unfamiliar with this profile, I'm gonna say it is still approachable, but with a lot of that kind of nice, fresh caramel, vanilla, really nice spice factor, good oak notes. There's this softness, more floral kind of notes that this bourbon specifically has to offer. But one of the things I'll say is that it always has this nice spice backbone, a really nice long finish. And for a lot of people, this is something that they truly gravitate towards as that kind of daily sipping kind of bourbon. Just an overall incredible bourbon. Great value in today's day and age as well. All right, so finally in the 3 that you need, for me, maybe my favorite of the Four Roses standard lineup overall is their Four Roses Small Batch Select. This, going back maybe 3 or 4 years ago when it was first introduced, an awful lot of people were asking for Four Roses to put out something that was slightly higher proof, non-chill filtered, and they kind of delivered. What this is again, this is a blend of different recipes that they have to offer. Again, Four Roses does a fantastic job of including the little neck tag that will give you an identifier as to what exactly this has to offer. So I would highly encourage you, if this is something that you've not had, definitely take a look at it. That will give you an idea of either why it is you like it or maybe why you don't like it. But again, the Four Roses Small Batch Select at 104 proof, non-chill filtered, was exactly what a lot of the people within the whiskey industry were kind of banging the drum asking Four Roses for. Well, they delivered going back 3 or 4 years ago, and now we've got this shelf bourbon that is absolutely incredible, and in my opinion, maybe the most underrated bourbon in all of bourbons. It comes in at right around that maybe $55 to $65 price point. So we're getting up there a little bit higher in price. But again, overall, I think for what this bourbon has to offer, it still feels like it's priced exactly where it needs to be for what it is that it has to offer. So if you haven't tried this specifically, their Four Roses Small Batch Select, I try to steer a lot of people towards this right away. I think it still offers up that kind of soft profile, all while still having a lot of those kind of tried and true flavor profiles, maybe a little more floral, some honey notes, great spice, little barrel influence, great mouthfeel. So overall, for me, I think what it is that the Four Roses Small Batch Select offers is an absolutely tremendous value. And again, I think it's something that the vast majority of people would probably enjoy. What I would say is the goal here is one of the three within this lineup is something that you're probably going to be able to enjoy. So whether you're new at the small batch with 90 proof or all the way up to the Four Roses Small Batch Select at 104 proof, I think there's something within this lineup that's going to fit your profile one way or another. Now, I know we're talking about the three you need, and we're also talking about three must-have bourbons from Four Roses. You can't ignore the Four Roses single barrel proofs. These for me, again, I think as you begin to develop and understand what the profile is that you enjoy the most, because there's an awful lot of them. There's 10 different recipes. So there's going to be something in there that either works for you or doesn't. So as you kind of work your way through your bourbon journey there, you'll start to kind of establish of the barrel strength bourbons that they put out, what it is that you tend to enjoy. For me, I love that OESK. That's still the lower rye mash bill that Four Roses produces, but I think overall, it's just something that works extremely well for me. Now, the standard offering of just their regular single barrel is the OBSV, which again is something that's gonna offer a really nice balance throughout. Again, going back to their single barrel strength, this is probably the pinnacle, excluding maybe some of their limited editions that they put out once a year. So if you can find these, and once you start to establish what it is you truly enjoy about Four Roses, then you can start to hone in on exactly which one of the single barrel strength kind of works for you. For me, those are the three must-have Four Roses bourbons if you're just either getting into it and all the way up to the people who are more experienced with these bourbons and their profiles. I think one of those three or four, if you include this, you'll find something within that lineup that you'll truly enjoy. Hopefully this is something that is valuable to you. I would love to hear from you as the viewer and someone who's maybe enjoying Four Roses. Is this something that is helpful? Is it something that, if you were curious about what some of the profiles were of each one of the Four Roses, is it going to be a good guide? That's the idea, is to maybe guide you in the right direction. And for me, Four Roses was one of those bourbons that I kind of started out with early, worked extremely well for me, and you just kind of graduate up to each level of what it is they had to offer. So I wanted to hit you guys with the Four Roses Small Batch, Four Roses Single Barrel, the Four Roses Small Batch Select, and then the pinnacle, maybe excluding their limited edition, is their single barrel strength. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode number 1 of the 3 you need. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of your overall opinion on what it is that Four Roses is offering as a whole. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out that Patreon link in the description below. And with that, remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. That is the fun part of working your way through all of these bourbons, is understanding what it is you truly enjoy and appreciate about each brand and each bourbon on your way. Thanks again, guys. Cheers. We will see you in the next video.